There are 24 hours in a day and on average 30 days in every month. That means that 1 month consists of roughly 720 hours. And in that time frame, there is a lot of room for good and bad to happen. People will die, someone could create a new software online game, the next iPhone could come out, and others will start a movement. I was born in the month of November, year 1999. And here are just a few events that happened in my 720-hour time period. The first event that I found that occurred in November 1999 were the Seattle World Trade Organization protests. These protests sparked due to the unhappiness of the World Trade Organization conferences going on in Seattle. They started on November 29th. The protests did not focus on only one issue, but many across the board, varying from workers' rights, environmental issues, and capitalism. While there was a huge mix of different people fighting for very different causes, their main goal in the end was fighting against globalization. And they succeeded in doing this. The World Trade Organization is considered one of the world's most influential trade governing bodies, and protesters managed to disrupt their conferences in Seattle. Though the protesters achieved a lot in their protests, the WTO protests in Seattle actually has a lot of bad rep. They are considered silly and misguided, and it even got very overlooked in the press. While I was researching this, I have never heard of the WTO protests, and I thought that was kind of crazy because it was a pretty big protest. Even though they may not agree with the protests, some do say that they were the leading cause for the beginning of the anti-globalization movement. The second event that I found focuses more on pulp culture and entertainment. In November of 1999, John Carpenter became the first person to win $1 million on the game show Do You Want to Be a Millionaire? He actually did not know what the game show was until his wife's friend introduced him to it. And while he was watching it, he actually said that the questions seemed very easy, which is why he wanted to try to get on the show in the first place. Now, when his episode did air, a lot of people actually accused him of being arrogant. He had made a lifeline call during his last question, which was his winning question, to his father, saying, "I don't really need your help. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to win the $1 million." But in an interview later, he said that he just thought it would be fun to call his dad since he hadn't used his lifeline call. Carpenter is actually a really nice guy. In an interview a few years later, he said that the money never changed his way of living. He didn't blow all his money on useless things like a lot of lottery winners do. And he even still holds his IRS job as an agent. And if we want to be technical, Carpenter actually did not win $1 million because obviously taxes is taken out of everything, and he had to pay $400,000 from that million, which didn't put a dent in that money, but he actually did not become a millionaire. Every second a person dies, so it would be a little bit odd if there was not a death in November 1999. And one that saddened and shocked many was the death of Mary Kay Bergman, who died due to a suicide when she was only 38 years old on November 11th. You may not recognize the name, but if you are a fan of South Park or Disney, you may recognize her voice. Bergman was a very famous voice actress, appearing as many different characters on South Park, a TV series, and a few Disney films. Bergman was also the voice of Daphne on Scooby-Doo, and she held the official voice of Snow White since 1989. A few other films she appeared in was Beauty and the Beast, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Star Wars. When she passed, her family said that she showed no signs of depression and that the death was a very big surprise to them. So please pay attention to your family and friends' actions because clearly you never know what someone's feeling. Lastly, in November 1999, the online game Neopets was launched. I used to play this game daily when I was younger, so I was very excited when I found out that it was launched in my birth month. And the reason it was created was actually pretty neat too. It was created by two British college students who wanted to keep university students entertained, and of course they also wanted to make money by advertising with their online game. What they thought would be something small and fun to create a little bit of extra money actually turned into something huge, and it was eventually bought by Viacom in 2005 and then another company in 2015. And then recently this year, actually, the game launched its new app for iOS and Android. So Neopets claimed to be the United States' most popular site a few years after it was launched in 2002. And in my opinion, I also agree with that statement. I used to always think that my birth month was just the year I was born and nothing more. But since reading about all these things that happened during the same time I was born makes me feel a little more historic in a way. It's weird to think that I take up some of the 720 hours along with all of these events. Yeah, thank you for watching.